Alright guys, sorry it's been so long. Been trying to do the next part, return from China to Egypt via India. I've done a few attempts at recording and it's just not going right, so I'm on that. But for now, I'd like to quickly and briefly talk about the New Year's drone show and just tie some stuff in. How we've been talking about these hands. Mentioned this in the Altamara cave. This hand made of dots, pretty much like the Illuminati hand, if you like, the devil's hand, the puppet master. We followed this hand imprint and we found it at Cattle Hoyuk with a circular dot in the middle. Also at Cattle Hoyuk we found this amulet with the crescent and the circumpunct and the three coming down, these two making the 5 digits. This is a hand. Then in China we found this jade hand with this wavy like pattern, this style. And if you remember, we talked about if a spirit told a man 100 years ago to draw a cartoon or an image or anything, and then that same spirit told me or you to draw it, and then the style would be the same if they were channeling the same spirit. We're not quite there yet guys in the course of the video series of history, but I have shown you this before. This is in the Djoser Pyramid, Saqqara. We see Pharaoh, and over here we see a rib and a hand, a symbol for Ha. This is a cake, and we see this glyph, which is the glyph for city. It is the orb with the X on it, and this grouping culminates in the title of Horus. The hand, rib, the X marks the spot, the half mark. Here it is up close guys. There's a guy connecting dots called Luca Zampi. You might want to check his channel out. I'm not sure about his beliefs guys, but he joins lots of dots in artifacts. I've only just come across him recently, but he lives in Italy, I think, and he goes out videoing some of the old stuff out there, wanders about with his dog, does good videos. He's found hands with the spiral in Mexico. And then at Palenque, I've shown you again before guys, the same hand with the circular orb, which I believe is symbolic of the Atum, and the X on the orb in the hand, and this hook like thing, which I'm convinced is this rib guys. So in the pyramid of Djoser we find the rib and the hand, the orb with the X, just like we find at Palenque. And in this series we've been following this, and I intend, as I've explained, to try and complete this series, returning to Egypt via India, then on to the Americas, and then also the giant stuff, the antediluvian giant stuff, which we can tell slightly different to the rest of the polygonal style. And then the flood, then the settling of the ark in Ararat, Chaldea being in Sanliurfa, Babel, Abraham coming out, We're going to cover all of that, guys, but we just want to stick to this hand, what we have been following, and the videos are up there now. We've talked a long time about this hand, the progression of it, the mark in the hand. We notice this is a right hand. It's all the same stuff, guys. I'm going to take that up as my new catchphrase. It is all the same stuff. Here is the Indian Hindu hand with the eye in it, and we can compare this to the Catalhoyuk artifact. It is truly all the same stuff. Also, guys, some of you have seen, you might remember me covering little bits, the Jubilee of the late Queen. She pressed this orb and these lights lit up, which we said, or I claimed, was the helix, the double helix of DNA. You can see them lighting up the floor of the Buckingham Palace. And they went to this tree, this helix DNA styled tree, these lights. And I claimed that these lights were the double helix with the Asclepius, the third party, the ray or the spirit, inserted to the special genetics to create the triple helix. And we looked how this DNA styled tree is connected to the Angel of Victory, the Victoria Monument, which had set up these pillar-like things in this circular enclosure. Just recapping, guys. The DNA, the caduceus, with the third Asclepius strand inserted. We've said how this seems to be the hand and the rib together, half and half, marked with the spirit of the son of perdition, which gives the triple X inserted into the mother, the first mother being Isis, who is Eve. This is the meaning of the Kumbha, the Sangshandwe artifact, and then all the other representations of the Kumbh, down to the Aquarius, what we see today. Now in the India video that I'm trying to do, guys, I'm going to break this down. That's not what we're doing here. But this Kumbha, this death and rebirth of a god in a genetic match host, possessed by the ray of the son of perdition. It is all these reliefs and images. It is Pakal's rocket. The Pakal's rocket is the Sangshandwe artifact. The hand and the rib genetics possessed by the ray of the son of perdition, who traversed the underworld, rose, came through the Stargate, down into his host. Her host being the second meaning, the second layer of meanings of the Ankh. It's what this is, guys. It is raising, it is creating the host vessel and raising the spirit of the anti-Messiah. That ray is what became symbolic for the rays on the solstices shining through the portholes. And in Karahan Tepe we observe, thanks to J.J. Ainsworth and Hugh Newman, the ray on the December solstice illuminating the face in what I call the sperm head enclosure of Karahan Tepe, because I've told you guys, I believe this is a sperm entering the egg, and the third enclosure is the burial pit where they bury the victim, and he traverses the underworld and comes back as the ray at the moment of conception, when the sperm enters the egg, while they're all doing the sex party in the large enclosure. That's what I believe this place is, guys. This theme can be followed throughout. Here we can see NEXT receiving his enlightenment through a porthole in the ceiling, and we can even see this theme being used to give the information to Indiana Jones, the Ray. So in both forms, it's still enlightenment. It is still receiving the knowledge, and the knowledge is the key word. Now this screen here, guys, is off one of my past videos. I've shown you the two Ouroboroses on King Tut's shrine, and this line going into the womb, and in this orb we see Khnum. And I said it's just like the Skythian gold artifact of the lion Ouroboros, which has the three elements, but we can see that 1, 2 and the third entering into these three elements. So there's 3 entering 3, and this lines up with the reliefs on the side of King Tut's shrine, where the third goes into the womb. Okay, guys? Well, this whole screen is from the India video I'm working on, where we can see Shiva. We can see Shiva, and we can see this insert going into him. And this is a common theme. We can see it on all depictions of Shiva, and we can see it on the stone reliefs. This insert going in, you can see it just here, going into his head. This is another going in here, look. It's the ray. It is this thing what goes in with Khnum to the womb. And it is the Skythian gold lion. It is all the same stuff, guys. It is all the same story. It is how to make the Holy Grail. And the Holy Grail being possessed by the Ray, Ra, the enlightenment. Now, the World Cup at Qatar has just been hosted, and the opening ceremony was very, very interesting. We can see the lights being used as rays to represent rays, and the rays coming down. Then we saw Morgan Freeman enter with this person who has issues, let's say, and they were singing. It's interesting to note that Morgan Freeman had one glove on. Now we know he had a damaged hand, he had some sort of accident, but symbolically there's a reason why he wore this glove. As we'll see in a minute, he could have wore a pair of gloves, and later in the same show he wears no gloves. So that eliminates the reason for the glove, this golden glove. That eliminates that being to cover up his injury, because in later scenes he doesn't have the glove. But we start with Morgan with one glove. Then we see 2 lots of DNA strands being formed out of people. We can see this if you watch it, guys. If you go back and watch this video, you'll see it all, guys. The 2 strands of DNA. 2 separate strands. 2 lines. 2 lines, guys. These are specific genetic lines. And then, in this strict Muslim country, with all the hype about drinking and stuff during the World Cup, we see the same symbology that we see in the Western world. We see the same Freemason, illuminated, occult, magic, Egyptian. We see the black hole sun appear, and the bloodlines, the DNA breaks away as these 2 lines start rising. And then Morgan starts in the middle, like raising his hands as if to raise the lines. And we can notice now his glove's gone. So it's not to cover his poorly hand, like lots of people have been saying. He came on in the beginning with the golden glove for a symbolic reason of the hand. And of course this all finished with the band on the stepped pyramid, with the black winged disc above them and the rays coming down, and we can see here the black pyramid. Okay, guys, and this entity here, this ghost, I don't know what this has to do with Islam, but in Egypt this is Medjet. This is the unseen one, the dragon that controls the beast. Medjet. It is the ancient winged disc sun symbol. It is the sun god, the winged disc of Horus, in Qatar, guys, in a strict Muslim opening ceremony. Because even if these guys were sincere in their beliefs, the people at the top are long since infiltrated and they're all in the same club. Then we move on to Dubai, and this stuff now is where I want to get serious, guys. The Burj started with this decrepit, leafless frame of a tree, and then the lights started to turn into what can only be described at this point as DNA spiraling. And then there were lots of fireworks and explosions and a bright light, guys, and this golden ribbon came spiraling down just like the ray. So we have the double helix and the ray and the tree, guys. And then the tree is reborn, and the tree is all leafed up and healthy. This is the rebirth of the tree. It is exactly what we saw at the Jubilee on the side of the Burj Khalifa in Dubai at the New Year's ceremony, because it is the triple helix giving life, the rebirth of the host of the tree of knowledge, the sun god. It is all the same stuff, guys. The spirit of the son of perdition. And now I'd like to jump over to Round Saturn's Eye. He did a video. I put loads of this stuff on my Facebook. Broke it, bits of it down, but not specific. And then I saw David had done this video, and I watched it, and I sensed, quite rightly so, I sensed caution while watching. Now, it's no secret that we have history, and our stuff seemed to go hand in hand at one time. For me, this is why I'm saying this now, for me that seems to be happening again. So we watched how this tree with this golden orb started to merge this tree into a cube. This tree merged into a cube, guys, in the New Year's fireworks. This, of course, we'll recognise as the black cube of Saturn. The black cube, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with. And some people are very right to be cautious. It then switched to the hand controlling Saturn, just like the hand that we see controlling in the iPet Goat videos, the Puppet Master, just like we see in the Altimara caves. And then it switched to this matrix, which the matrix, we can see the information, and that's what the Chinese Emperor's hat symbolized. The one can read the spirit world. And that's the ones and notes. But of course the matrix, as I was watching this, I was remembering back in the day when I was saying, yes, the matrix in scripture is the womb, and it's opening of the womb. This is the birth of the spirit of the Antichrist, guys. The AI. This is another head in another New Year's celebration just passed in a different place of the world. And the head and the binary behind. This says AI within his head, where the pineal should go. And then we saw the sun god with the rays. All this symbology should be very, very familiar to a lot of you guys who are not new to any of this. Then we had the eye, obviously the eye, and then the UFO. So the UFO appeared, and so did a portal, and then it turned into this. Now this, guys, I believe, and I want you to use your discernment on this, and I might be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong about all this stuff, guys. But I don't believe it. Some of you might remember my old work, and it did feature, as I said, me and David, whether we've liked it or not, our work seemed to go hand in hand. Can you see what I'm drawing on here, guys? But this does not say Satan. This does not say hell. This says the Father, Abba, and Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh. Look, guys. This alien deception, there will be no aliens. The big lie is to make you believe that people are taken by aliens. When this all goes down, I strongly believe there will be a rapture. Perhaps during the 3 days of darkness that I used to tell you all about. When the sun comes back, this, I believe, will be part of their explanation. I included this to show the new people that although I'm not these days what you're looking for, it seems that what I gave was true. Of course, in Dubai or somewhere, I forgot even where, guys, and I'm so overwhelmed by all this. I can't remember everything, but somewhere in Saudi somewhere, they were giving the Horus symbology because they don't follow what they claim to follow behind closed doors. And then this came up, the grid. Some of you will remember me mentioning the grid many years ago, and now everything will be connected, and just all of it, what's happening now, guys. Well, that's what this is. This is the smart grid that connects you to the computer, the fake omnipresence. This is the only way this entity can get anything remotely like omnipresence, by digitally being connected to you and your car and your washing machine and everything you do in your life. And then the reason for this video is this popped up. Anybody that's covered these lights that I've watched skipped over this, some not knowing, some seeming to be uncomfortable. This is one of the most important images in the whole show across the world. You've seen this image before, guys. You've seen this image on 2 slides in this very video, guys. Now, at first glance to me, it looked like a fingerprint. Can you see that image, guys? Can you see the style? Can you remember what we said about spiritual intuition and channeling and the styles? Do you see it, guys? Which, of course, then, whether this is this hand or a simple fingerprint or even both, we start to look to the outside, to this framing and this pink line, and it becomes obvious what this framing and pink line is, at least to me. So what was this showing, boasting, predicting? I think by now you already realise. They're boasting about the mark, about tracking you, about you having some form of code, chip, readable, scannable, in your hand. This is the mark of the beast, and I'm convinced of this, guys. From the moment I saw it. And he calls us all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. So there you go, guys. Just to wrap it all up in a few sentences, I believe, now more than ever, that the spirit of the tree of knowledge was given to Eve in the fruit, the forbidden, the unclean food. Okay, guys? This ties in unclean foods to opening doors. And she opened the door, and she knew her husband, Adam. So he was Cain's dad for sure. Cain was born with the perfect genes. Adam the hand, and Eve taken from the rib. And he was born already hosting the spirit of the knowledge tree. The D wave, the black cube, is the host of the son of perdition. I believe he will be in a man, but somehow he will also be in this, connected to everybody. And that's what this is. Thanks for watching, guys. Please get in the comments. I'm sorry that it doesn't flow like before, but I'm still me. I'm still just Jay. May Yeshua bless us all.